Hey everybody, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. We're at the Prado Hilux Engine Replacement Hospital, and we've just had our next customer for the year, or actually it'll be the first one for next year, arrive. And this is not how vehicles and engines should arrive, in bits and pieces with nuts and bolts just sitting around up on the vehicle. Some are there, some are missing. We'll have to go searching through the car. There's no organised fashion. Firstly, it's really important to understand these engines, what can go wrong with them, why it goes wrong, and it only takes 10 seconds to diagnose. The most common thing, on the super rare occasion that these engines do let you down, it's a cracked piston. And all you've got to do is have the engine running, take the oil cap off, and it'll go chuff, 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 chuff. So you'll have a misfire that's clear and evident. And the only way you can tell whether it's your fuel system or the engine mechanicals, like the cracked piston, is just take that cap off, and it's really obvious. It'll be going chuff chuff, as demonstrated in many videos on our channel. All good mechanics or half decent mechanics and vehicle technicians would know that and be able to figure it out. If I could figure it out, I'm sure plenty of other people can as well, but not the workshop that this vehicle went to. You can see the drama that's going on, the time wasted, the expense. We've got bits and pieces just sitting around here. This turned up on a tow truck, the cover over the cover, a few nuts and bolts, the injectors are out. What do they do? Maybe a compression test. Was the battery flat because the plastic cover's off? I don't know. There's just way too much drama going on here, when all they had to do was run the engine, take the oil cap off, chuff, chuff, chuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, now's the time to hang around and listen very carefully to all my videos all the way to the end and gather the information. Now, here at the Prado Hilux Engine Replacement Hospital, we only use brand new long motors, no rebuilds. We don't use rebuilt injectors, never have, never will. We don't use rebuilt engines. We're not using anything rebuilt, okay? Genuine parts. Most aftermarket parts are out as well. There's a few exceptions to that. A lot of original equipment, OEM suppliers we use, but generally it's genuine parts and only brand new genuine.
Where are the injectors?
Mate, that's a good question. Where are the injectors? They're not in it. Can you see them anywhere out here? Well, they should be in the engine there. But no, they're not here, are they? There's a whole lot of bits and pieces. So one of the first time-consuming things that happen is we have to get the vehicle into the workshop. It's not flat ground, so you can't just gather up a bunch of people and push the car in. It needs to be winched or towed in, and obviously it's pretty difficult to tow a vehicle into a workshop when the front of the vehicle's facing up to the bench. Sometimes you can push it in depending on the setup, what cars we've got available. We need one of those big, you know, the Vic Roads trucks that they've got all the rubber on the front for pushing on the brake. We need one of those. Anyway, in this case, we towed it in. It worked out pretty well. Lucky I had Mitch here to help me. Thanks, Mitch. And where are the injectors? Oh, I can't see where the injectors are. They're not anywhere around here. So we'll have to start doing a search through the car. That's the cover over the cover. Where's the valve cover, mate? That's what I want to know. I can see where the fuel pipes are, because they've certainly not watched any of my videos, and they've got the diesel injection pipe. So even if this engine didn't have let's say they don't know about cracked pistons. Where's the map filter gone as well? That's gone. What's going on there? Oh, it's been bypassed. So look, previous people working on this vehicle probably haven't done the best things as well. So one thing for sure, we're going to get this back running with a brand new engine in tip-top shape. There's no doubt about that whatsoever, but this has certainly created extra work and extra cost. Instead of being able to start the car, put it in low range and pop, 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 pop on 3 cylinders, pop it into the workshop, just chuff it in slowly, which is what I can normally do if it hasn't been worked on. No, we had to muck around, 2 people, get cars, straps, tow it in. Now the next thing I've got to do is a video and tell everyone about, please don't do this, don't bring vehicles to us like this. If your vehicle breaks down and it goes to a workshop, just be very careful what you let them check, do and don't do. You really need to watch all my videos, get yourselves educated so you can work out whether you can do it yourself, whether you need to take it to someone, whether you should, you know, who you should take it to, who can you trust? Your towing service, your RAC or NRMA and all that, you want to make sure you've got top level, and that should cover all your towing and all that sort of thing. You've really got to follow all the correct steps. You do not want your vehicle going to a workshop where this has happened. Let's just imagine for a minute that this wasn't a cracked piston and there was a little broken wire on one of those injector wires. Like say there's some mice around and they've been chewing on a wire and it's chewed through a wire, right? So I had a bit of a misfire. You do this to the fuel system, you've just completely destroyed the injectors, because A, we don't know where they are yet, let's go and find them. And you've got all these hoses and dirty fuel pipes, which we've demonstrated all the accumulation. See those stains there? That's the accumulation of all the dirt and everything. That's all over the pipes. It's all in the engine. This thing's absolutely destroyed. You know, you'll see the same thing on all of these, right? What an absolute mess. What are these tubes here for? I don't know, because they're cranking it over. Maybe they were doing a compression test, I'm going to guess. I've got to try and get some details of what they've done. We're probably going to have to do the same because we don't know what's wrong with the engine now. We can't do our 10-second diagnosis because someone's left it like this. There's hours of work to get this back together to get it running again, which we're not going to waste time doing that because it's all going to come off anyway. But I don't want to go and do a $20,000 engine job with a turbo and a radiator and maybe engine mounts and timing belts and bloody everything you can imagine, you know, this, that and the other, all the optional extras, 20 grand plus whatever. And that's what it could be with all the optional extras, even more than that. It can be less, it just depends. There's a number of optional extras. There's a lot of things you can reuse, or a lot of people just choose to replace while you're at it. I mean, you can really go to town. You can change the alternator and you can change the starter motor and you can just keep going. I'm not recommending you do that. But to get back on the topic, what an absolute disaster. How do we know what's wrong with it? We don't know anything. So what we've got to do now, we've got to do a compression test as well. I mean, you know, there's a bolt sitting there. Can you see that bolt down there? Look, there's a bolt just sitting there. You know, where did that come from? Don't worry, we'll figure it all out. But what I'm saying is this takes time. So you're doing this as wasted time, which someone's going to have paid for, which is unfair. And then it creates extra work for us. We've got to go and do all this extra work as well. So basically you're double ripping someone off because they didn't know not to take their car to you. So if you're a vehicle technician, a motor mechanic, a diesel technician, a diesel specialist, a diesel anything, any sort of qualification, please get some skills, be qualified, run your business in a more professional manner so that you don't do this to people's vehicles and leave bits and pieces. As a minimum, those nuts and bolts should have been removed, laid on a bench, in sets, bagged up, boxed, whatever. I'll put them in little Ziploc bags. If I was going to do this to someone and say, look, I'm not the Prado specialist, and I'm really out of tune. I don't know how to diagnose this. So I'm going to do some old school stuff and just pull it apart and try and work out what's going on with some rubber hoses over the fuel pipes. If I was going to do that, I'd say it could come back to you in bits and pieces, but don't worry, I'll have it organised. And I'm going to lay it all out and I'm going to put it in bags and I'm going to get a text and write on the bags what's what. This is just a disaster. Nuts and bolts all over the engine. Up there, they're probably every bump the tow truck went over. Can you imagine how many of those nuts and bolts have gone missing? Lucky we've got some spare parts here. Have you found those injectors yet, mate?
Oh, no.
Do me a favour, have a look in the car, open up the back door, see if there's some spare part. I've got a feeling it'll be in the back or something. Let's go and have a look, eh? Let's have a bit of a look around this one. Okay, got the heavy duty side steps. What's in here? Okay, everything but the kitchen sink. We've got the fridge, the CF50. How's that going? Is that turned on or off? Because we want that, looks like it's off. We don't want to be flattening batteries and stuff. Got the solar panel, spare wheel cover. Not on the back of it. Oh, look, here we go. We've got some parts here. We've got a bucket full of parts. We've got a valve cover, clamps and bolts. Oh, look what they've done, the nozzle seals. Did they, what? They ripped the valve cover off with the nozzle seals. So these people just shouldn't be working on cars. See these seals, people? Look, watch this. Watch this, watch. Watch. Oh, someone glued them in, did they? What's going on? Those seals they come out just like that. Sorry, it was a bit hard to get out because I've got them up in a upside down back to front in a spare wheel cover. People, you take the fuel pipes off and then these seals from the other side, you know, this is not the most ideal environment for getting it. So how about I get this picker parts box out of the back of the vehicle, we'll put it on the bench and we'll really analyse what's here and what's not. So we got it on the bench now. We've got a few other bits and pieces, nuts and bolts. Like I know that's from the, you know, the cover over the cover from the front. I mean, we worked on a lot of these, so we know what's what. But it's really basic information to be able to diagnose it correctly, and this just isn't it. Okay, so in this video, I've whinged, I've complained, I've told people what they should and shouldn't do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and spend probably an hour or two and sit down and comb all the nuts and bolts out of this engine bay and out of that spare wheel cover and work out what's missing as a preparation, because when we go to do this job, if we've got nuts and bolts missing, you know, sometimes one of those odd bolts, you know, we had one once, luckily it was available somewhere, but it could be a Japan job. It could take weeks. It's going to hold up the job. So we need to sort of get a fair idea what's missing and what's not, or if maybe nothing's missing, but we need to get it organised because this is a mess. So bada bing, bada boom. Stay tuned if you want to see more on this one, because this is a drama crack piston job, and a bill has been charged for the work on this vehicle, which I will suggest should be refunded. because they haven't taken the right steps on diagnosis. As far as what I can see, they should have done the simple diagnosis of taking the cap off, and that's that. That would have saved a whole lot of money, a whole lot of labour. It would have taken a few minutes. You could have said, look, I'm sorry to advise you, but you've got a cracked piston, no charge. That's what I would have done. If you bring your car on a tow truck to me and you know, and typical symptoms, and I'm just going to start it up. Yep, it's run on 3 cylinders. I'm going to go to the cap. I'm going to take the cap off. It's going to go choof, choof, choof. And I'm going to just put the cap on, shut off the engine, then work out the best way I can announce to someone. It's like announcing a death, isn't it, really, you know, that they've got a cracked piston. And unfortunately, if you haven't done the maintenance and you're not in the cracked piston fund with us, where you get, you know, like a free engine, if you don't know about that, just keep watching the video, subscribe, turn the bell on. You're lucky if you're in Australia. You're lucky if you watch my videos, and you're lucky if you watch it to the end. Unfortunately, this person didn't see the videos till it was too late, and obviously either did the workshop. So bada bing, bada boom. Send a refund, because you could have done a quick diagnosis. The amount of money you've charged, it's ridiculous. Why? Tell me this. Why would you even change a fuel filter? A new fuel filter is what it looks like on the invoice. And a carbon clean, a diesel carbon clean. I don't even know what you've done, a diesel. So you've got an engine comes in, a car comes in running on 3 cylinders, and you do some carbon clean. You're not going to clean anything that's going to get an engine running on 3 cylinders running good again. If it was run on 3 cylinders because of injectors, it's going to need injectors. You're not going to be able to clean it, okay? I could just go on here. Basic information. You're not qualified. You're not professional. We're all very disappointed. Please just send a refund and we'll call it a day. And in all the following videos, we'll just continue not to bother naming where you are, but you're going to need to lift your standards, because one day it's not going to work out so easy for you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you in the next video.